Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we open with a rare movement thumbnail because this watch deserves it. A model originally launched in 2010 from Bethune. This is the DB25 Moon Phase Starry Sky in white gold, really gray gold, more on that in a moment. 44 millimeters in diameter, but thinner than you expect, at 12.9 millimeters thick and 51.1 lug tip to lug tip. It's got a 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now this is a big watch, but it does wear reasonably because it is fairly thin. So on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, I think you'll agree that this wears just fine. It's big, but that's also the style. It's not supposed to be so discreet it goes unnoticed. Now you can get a smaller 25 moon phase starry sky, but for a lot of folks this is going to be a easy choice. At 44 millimeters and slim enough to fit underneath a dress cuff, this is an all-the-time type watch, not too formal to wear casually and not too casual to wear formally. It's got nice weight to it too, and you can see down the barrel I've got a little bit of clearance on either side. The lugs are not overhanging the edge of my wrist. It's a watch with a nice weight to it, substantial. You can see the strap large, 24 millimeter spacing between the lugs. So we have a broad strap proportional to the size of the case. Now it's a black semi-gloss, sheer cut and lacquered monotone stitch with rectangular scale alligator leather. And you can see that these are large rectangular scales with a little bit of medium scale down at the end. On the bottom, small round scale. This is indicative of the best straps made these days because gator on the bottom lasts longer than calfskin on the bottom. That's why it's used increasingly by the best companies: Vacheron, de Bethune, F. Pigeon, Louis-Elise Chopard. This is the good stuff. More expensive, but a watch like this deserves no less. The 25s have a conventional buckle, largely because the DB25s also have more conventional designs. They're designed for more conservative buyers. At the time when de Bethune was looking towards an avant-garde future, in the late 2000s, it became clear that there needed to be a more conservative, traditional model line for people who did not want to go in the direction of something that perhaps has science fiction overtones. So for those folks, we have fixed lugs, a round case, and solid dials with the DB25s, which is not to say they're conservative, just that they are not absolutely wild. Taking a quick look in profile, we have a round case, though it does have quite a few character lines. There's a pusher adjuster for the moon phase, more on that in a moment. The lugs are fixed, but they're also open, evacuated, buttressed, and airy, almost like the flying buttresses of a Gothic cathedral. That's how I always compare them. We have these little bullet tip profiles at the end of the lugs. That is the last styling vestige of the original DB1 chronograph, the company's first product from 2002, and it's featured on most de Bethune designs through the years. Not all, but most. The crown is unbranded because Denis Flageolet is nodding to antiquity, and historically the pocket watches of the great watchmakers would not have had branded crowns. Denis is the co-founder and the watchmaking genius behind de Bethune in Lauberson, Switzerland, and he has full editorial review privilege on design. He also loves things that are powerful but minimally branded, which is why you will struggle to find any branding on this dial, though it is entirely mirror polished and fired to create this lovely and lustrous blue. The initial versions of this watch featured a much lighter blue, almost like sky metallic blue, but collectors wanted something more intense, and so this darker blue was selected after the first couple of months of production. So if you ever see a really light version of this dial, don't worry, it doesn't fade from dark to light. That is an early production version. This is more representative of the series production. Now you can see we have this sort of toroidal and cambered track outboard with polished hour indices. And then inboard we have white gold inserts that are used to create the celestial bodies, including the constellation of Orion here. Taking a quick look at the moon phase, you can see because it is three-dimensional and spherical, it requires the hands to be vaulted so that they can sort of clear the sphere. It is a perpetual calendar style moon phase, which means its adjustment interval is once every 122 years. It's half blued steel, half white palladium, and as you could see, it does have an incredible aesthetic. It's much like the real moon in that it is a sphere that turns. The movement, you sort of saw it at the beginning. You might be shocked to realize how much black polished metal there is. Now, Black polish, or palais noir, is the highest optical standard of polish on metal in watchmaking, and it's called black polish because from all angles except the one reflective angle, it turns black. And so the idea is palais noir. And you can see that angle in both directions. The black polish here achieved by polishing against a spinning wooden wheel using diamond paste. This is an extraordinary feat of fine craftsmanship because it's very easy to warp and create flaws on the metal. Now, a lot of watches will give you black polished screws, maybe a swan's neck regulator. Nope, here it's the entire cover of the barrel bridge and the entire cap of the base plate. You can also see that the full balance bridge features a rounded and mirror polished bridge that also tapers towards its edges. We have a power reserve indicator down at the bottom for the 6-day manual wind power reserve and patented twin self-adjusting barrels so you cannot accidentally overwind the watch. Triple parachute shock protection is there to provide greater durability to the movement, but also improve chronometry and timekeeping under conditions of shock. It does both. You can see that its flanking spring structure is also mirror finished and beveled on its side. We have beveling in the jewel sinks. We have solarization on the barrel covers, and we have micro beveling, if you can see, very intricately executed on the teeth of the ratchet wheel. It's a 4 Hertz beat rating and a 6-day power reserve with no tricks played. We still have a large balance. We still have a fairly high beat rate. We have the company's proprietary silicon escape wheel to reduce friction and oscillating mass and also rotating mass. The patented balance is a solid disc of silicon with a white gold rim, and you can barely even see it's moving. You really have to look at the patented hairspring, which, yes, has a patented curve, to know that this is breathing. The breathing of the hairspring lets you know the watch is operating. Now, the balance was designed for a couple of different reasons. 1, minimize the impact of temperature change on timing. 2, maximize the percentage of total mass in the rim. That's done with a silicon disc and a white gold rim. And then, to the extent possible, reduce the impact of aerodynamic drag on fine timing. Also, let's count the patented elements we've got here. The barrels, triple parachute shock protection, the hairspring, and the wheel, and the moon phase. That's an awful lot. And the movement is properly large to fit this case back at 30 millimeters in diameter. And you can see the closer you get, the more impressive the finish becomes. That is the signature of a beautifully executed watch that is finished to a no compromise cost, no object standard. Dress watch water resistance at 30 meters, so don't take it swimming, but splashes and rain are okay. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.